It's a really difficult position to be put in as an integrator, as you're offering something that you think is TAA compliant. You believe you're offering the right solution. Yes, everyone wants the latest and greatest technology, but this security risk is much greater than the advancements in technologies. I think people probably need to be having a cybersecurity conversation more so than who's the ownership here. I think there's several things at stake.
So Megan brings up a very sticky wicket there for a second, and I'm going to pull on this for a minute. And I'm probably going to get in trouble, which is fine.
This is the captain. Brace for impact.
Government-led security measures in AV, what you want from today's trade shows. And Nareva gets awarded a patent. All that and more next on AV Week. This is AV Week, episode 738, recorded Friday, October 10th, 2025. Qualified AV. This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of the biggest news and stories in the AV and the IT world. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. We have drones falling out of the sky, the economic outlook, and platform updates. Let's get into it. Our top story is Nareva Inc. has been granted a new U.S. patent for its microphone mist technology, further strengthening its leadership in hybrid audio systems. Now, the new patent covers Nareva's unique ability to use a discrete wireless mic for local amplification alongside its microphone mist array. Now, that picks up the entire room for conferencing. This is all synchronized with echo cancellation. This innovation allows presenters wearing a lapel mic to be heard clearly in the room while the array continues to capture remote participants without doubling up or phasing issues. Nareva says the result is a more natural, reliable experience for classrooms, hybrid boardrooms, and lecture halls. All of these are key use cases as enterprises scale up their hybrid meeting infrastructure. Now, this marks another milestone in Nareva's growing intellectual property portfolio, emphasizing focus on innovation, scalability, and software-defined audio. Next up, QSC continues its momentum with a major expansion of its QSYS full-stack AV platform, bringing together hardware, software, and automation under one ecosystem. The update includes QSYS Designer Software version 10, a suite of new core processors, plus a brand new Vision Suite AI accelerator that brings intelligent in-room automation to AV systems. Vision Suite introduces features like Speaker Spotlight, which triangulates active speakers using voice and image recognition, and Presenter Spotlight, offering full body tracking through computer vision. QSC also launched Vision Suite Designer, a 3D spatial planning tool for integrators to model camera, mic, and speaker coverage before the installation. On the cloud side, QSYS Reflect now offers enhanced data reporting and an open API for third-party integration. Licensing has also been simplified. Control, scripting, and plugin deployment are now included at no additional cost. Analysts say this quote-unquote full-stack approach positions QSYS as one of the most scalable platforms in Pro AV. From the trade floor to the festival circuit, Spain is solidifying its reputation as Europe's next audiovisual powerhouse. At the San Sebastian Film Festival, officials showcased Madrid's booming production scene, from new sound stages and post-production facilities to tax incentives designed to attract international filmmakers, producers, and audiovisual talent. The initiative, called Madrid Global Audiovisual Hub, aims to connect Spanish studios, AV suppliers, and tech companies to global streaming and broadcast productions. It's part of Spain's broader effort to become a creative and AV technology hub, mirroring similar moves in London and Berlin. Also signals major opportunities for integrators working in broadcast and virtual production. Spain is, of course, the home of Integrated Systems Europe, the largest AV show globally. ISE, of course, will be held the 3rd through the 6th of February 2026 in Barcelona. New market research suggests that unified communications, or the UC sector, will surpass $85 billion by 2031, growing at a compound annual rate of 8.5%. Driving this growth are continued investments in cloud-based UC platforms, AI-powered meeting tools, and the lasting impact of hybrid work. Verticals like education, healthcare, and enterprise IT are leading adoption, while integrators continue to bridge legacy conferencing systems with modern UC frameworks such as Zoom Rooms, Microsoft Teams Rooms, and Cisco's Room OS. Analysts note that interoperability, not just hardware, will be the next big differentiator in UC deployments. And finally, we are in spooky season, so a cautionary tale and a little bit of an AV nightmare in live event tech. In Luoyang, China, a pyrotechnic drone show celebrating National Day ended in chaos when dozens of drones malfunctioned mid-flight, raining fiery debris onto the spectators below. Now, before you turn me off and shoot me a very nasty email, no one was hurt. So let's continue. Video footage shows panicked crowds running for cover as flaming drones plummeted to the ground. Local officials say several drones carrying fireworks failed to respond to control signals, triggering cascading failures in the fleet. Now, again, there were no confirmed fatalities, but the incident reignites concern over the safety of hybrid drone firework events, a growing trend, by the way, in large-scale entertainment. Industry experts point to the need for stricter redundancy, signal verification, and flight path monitoring before mass drone deployments. That is your AV news for the week. Stick around for this week's roundtable where we will discuss AV security concerns and what you want from trade shows. This is AV Week.
Hey listeners, it's your AV sneakerhead, Jennifer Weaver. Listen to AV Career Masterminds, where I chat all things job-related in the audio-visual industry. You can find AV Career Masterminds where you subscribe to podcasts.
All right, welcome back with us to discuss a couple more news and information. First and foremost, Jennifer Weaver from LIA. Welcome, ma'am.
Hello, happy to be here.
Thank you so much. And a person that I got to meet and is a brand new commercial integrator, 40 under 40 inductee, Megan Zeller from Peerless AV. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. And congratulations again. That is here's the weird thing about this, that particular award. I would say it is a huge honor and you should absolutely be proud of that. And you should put it all over your LinkedIn. Period. End of sentence. Next paragraph. That has nothing to do with the fact that Mr. Netto, Chris Netto, and I are class one of that particular award. And you got a cover of a magazine, and Chris and I are still waiting on that, Mr. Dan Farisi. All right, that's all I'm going to say.
And I'm too old to hit that.
You were not, though, too old. You were, you know.
I am now.
You were barely too old, anyhow. We're going to cover a couple of different stories before I get myself in trouble. From AV Network, a recent presidential order, this is talking about the U.S. president, so U.S. presidential order, has forced Suirui International, a Hong Kong-based firm, to divest its 2020 acquisition of Jupiter Systems. Now, Jupiter is a U.S. company whose video wall processors are widely used in mission-critical control rooms across U.S. government agencies. The order, which was issued July 8th, retroactively bars the original transaction and gives Suirui 120 days. So, I don't know, 4 months. I should have did that math in my, when I was writing this. It gives them 120 days to get rid of Jupiter, citing national security and committee review. Jupiter maintains that Suirui never had access to its core IP and claims its operations, manufacturing, and support remain unaffected during the divestment process. Jennifer and Megan are both manufacturers in this instance, but they also deal a lot with end users. We're going to take that, kind of both sides there. Jennifer, when you look at this from AV IT operations, should end users be concerned? Should IT folks be concerned? And quite frankly, should integrators and system designers be concerned about foreign ownership? And again, foreign here it's a very loose term, right? Anything outside the U.S., because the U.S. is the one who did this order. should they be concerned about foreign ownership when they're designing their systems? And then is that dependent on who they're designing the system for, being the U.S. government or just financial or healthcare?
Yes, they should be concerned, I think.
Okay.
We're just going to say that first. When you're coming down to banking solutions and when you're coming down to the federal government, that's going to be a major concern for them, right? Because of all of the security and everything that goes on. Now, what I found interesting about this when I read the article is Juniper's TAA compliant, right? Everybody wants to have, as a manufacturer, a TAA compliant.
And pause for a second. Explain what TAA compliance is.
So TAA compliance means it's made in a favorable nation.
Yep.
52%. It fluctuates on what that percentage of it being made in a favorable nation means.
And pause again. BAA as opposed to BAA, which is made in America and is obviously a compliant country. Continue.
So when you're looking at that TAA compliance, something is made outside of the US in most cases. But if I don't know how much of this they believe that they don't have access to certain things, that they were just the financial banking part of it, right? They were just supporting, I don't know. But federal government and government agencies, yes, they want TAA compliance. They want to make sure they're there. So as the manufacturer, we need to, and the integrator, we need to definitely be concerned by that. If mom and dad are not a favorable nation. And then as the end user, the concern is if you've deployed all of this product or even one product that is that mission critical or that is driving everything in either your classrooms or your courtrooms or your conference rooms, and now somebody's going to go, if you can't get a favorable person that we like basically to back you, you got to pull this stuff out. What are you going to do? That costs money. Who's going to pay for it?
That's a fair question, right? It's a very, very question. We can continue that on the back end of this. Megan, same question is how concerned should everybody down the pipeline be? Both, yes, manufacturers and the rank and file employees of any company, they have no say over who their ownership is a lot of times, especially. I don't know. It used to be the spring was merger and acquisition season. It feels like the fall has been as well, especially with mergers and acquisitions happening as rapidly as they are. From a manufacturer standpoint, as you're trying to go out and, drum up business in the corporate space as well as education and government, but also how concerned should integrators be as they're trying to make sure that they're compliant and their designs meets the specs of their customers.
Yeah, it's a really difficult position to be put in as an integrator, as you're offering something that you think is TAA compliant. You believe you're offering the right solution. Just look at the LED space. I mean, what's considered TAA is it really TAA? What's really happening? I mean, we look at the big picture here and wonder, is it really what they're saying it is? So I think there's very few cabinets out there that are really right for a mission critical environment. And what we're seeing a lot in the command and control space right now, a lot of it is still using LCD because they can control the security. They can control everything that's going on. Yes, everyone wants the latest and greatest technology, but the security risk is much greater than the advancements in technology. So it's very interesting. We're dealing a lot in the financial space right now as well. And there's very few cabinets that really hit what they're trying to achieve and that are right in that space. So just looking at the technology outside of what Jupiter is providing, there's a lot of questions. And then you go into, even the CMS providers and other people that are, there's all these cybersecurity risks there as well, which are US-based companies. So I don't know that anyone is truly safe right now. So even if we look at, minority ownership in a company, I think it's a greater risk than that. And I think people probably need to be having a cybersecurity conversation more so than who's the ownership here. I think there's several things at stake.
So Megan brings up a very sticky wicket there for a second, and I'm going to pull on this for a minute, and I'm probably going to get in trouble, which is fine. By the way, I'm going to send Mitchell the government's definition of TAA, the Trade Agreement Act compliance really quickly. TAA limits the country of origin for products sold through your scheduled contract. In general, this means the following may be sold: articles that are wholly the growth, product, or manufacture of the U.S. or a designated country, or articles that are substantially transformed in the U.S. or a designated country into a new and different article of commerce with a name, character, or use distinct from that of the article or articles from which it was transformed. Again, Mitchell will put a link on this episode's page. There's two things here, Megan, and I am going to pick on you and have you respond to this because you started this. TAA deals with the hardware. Okay? This is an important part here, guys. We are increasingly, just the world in general, AV especially, we are increasingly moving to a software-driven environment. TAA deals with the hardware. What do you do when you are a software only or software first or software majority environment? And I can pick on QSIS, and I can pick on Audinate, and I can pick on darn near anybody on the show floor of ISC, which we'll talk about ISC in a second. Because we are all moving to software. What do you do when the software company that you are putting your eggs all in that basket, the country of origin, right? There's no changing anything. There's no manufacturing because it's software. So that's the first problem. The second problem is there's an undercurrent of Chinese investment firms who are buying stakes in various companies generically, right? I'm not picking on AV here, saying generically. So they're getting 5, 10, 20% of a particular company, and they're getting seats on the board. So if that is an issue, this is more than just, oh, hey, your parent company happens to be, located in Hong Kong. So Megan, as we're moving towards a more software-driven instead of hardware, where does TAA belong in that conversation? Are we going to have to come up with something else, and not just the U.S., right? Nearly every sovereign nation under the sun has a version of the U.S.'s TAA, right? Because they're all trying to protect themselves. But where does the TAA and initiatives like it belong in a software-heavy, software-driven, what we're talking about, AV world?
Right. I guess it would just be in the hardware provided. So, whether it's a player or, something in a closed network, where was that made? That's the question. I mean, where are those devices made? I think the majority of electronics are coming from countries that are not TAA. So I think looking at that, all the players, all the devices, everything is usually coming from maybe an unfavorable nation when it comes to that. So that's very interesting. So a different way of powering devices, and maybe there's room in the market for someone else to come in and enter with something a bit more secure.
Let me ask you both a very dangerous question. And if you want to grab and buy me a cup of coffee, I'll give you my political anytime, any day of the week. I am not asking for more government regulation. Do not misunderstand what I'm asking here. But is there a software version of TAA coming down the pipeline?
There probably is. And I say that there will at some point be some type of TA guideline for software. Look at TikTok. Look at what happenings with TikTok. TikTok has been Chinese owned. It is popular. People are using it. Everything's on there. They're worried about getting our data. The administration wants a U.S. owned entity to buy it. But when you think about it, though, look at all of the places where you have to click accept. So where is that guideline going to come in? But I think for software and anything that's going to start to reside on devices and reside within the government, I would not be surprised in 5 to 10 years, there is something that says software needs to have TAA compliance.
Again, Tim Albright is not asking for more government regulation. I just want to point that out there. not in any way, shape, or form from any government, but thank you. Our second story from our friends over at AV Buyers Club. ISE 2026 will expand its exhibition footprint and introduce several fresh program tracks under its quote-unquote push beyond theme. Organizers indicate the venue is already at capacity. Pause for a second here. I've been doing this long enough, and I've been going to ISE long enough. I do recall it being at the Rye. I enjoyed Amsterdam. Did not care for the Rye because it's a bit of a fun house. You can get lost very easily. But back 10 years ago, ISE wasn't even filling out the Rye as it stood, right? And then eventually they started adding on temporary structures. 4 years ago now, they got to the Fira in Barcelona. They were not filled out, and now they are at capacity. So, 14 good job from Mike Blackman and the entire team there. 1,400 exhibitors, 184 new ones to support innovation. ISE is adding high-end listening suites for acoustic demonstrations, a cybersecurity summit focused on AV and IT resilience, an EdTech Congress spotlighting AI in education, and a Spark initiative to bridge creative sectors. That's what I want to focus on here. Managing Director Mike Blackman said, quote unquote, ISE has always been more than just about technology on display. It is where industries come together to inspire, to create, and to challenge what's possible. Megan, as a manufacturer, 5 years ago, I would have lost a bet because I thought trade shows were dead because COVID and everything else like that. Obviously, they are not, at least not in Barcelona. What do manufacturers want? What do the manufacturers need in a trade show? And what is their ROI coming out of those trade shows?
Well, I think it's really quality attendees. It's qualified buyers, decision makers. I think that's really what every manufacturer is going after, is someone there that is capable of making buying decisions or specifying decisions. So that's really it. It's just finding someone who is qualified. We've all been to trade shows or small, regional shows where there's been no value in what we've done, where you have people kicking the tires and just walking around, stealing your swag and moving on. Where ISE and Infocom, we find that there's tremendous value in showing up. I can tell you by showing up to Infocom in Vegas, we had a customer that exceeded, I think, all of our dreams as far as what it turned into, 45 LED walls from one customer that walked in our booth at Infocom in Vegas. So that's pretty hard to beat. So I would tell you, it's the right people there, the key decision makers. That's what's driving it for us, that if we don't go, we're going to miss that. So yeah, if you had asked us in 2020 or 2021, we would have said, trade shows are dead. There's no way it's coming back, but it's come back in such a meaningful way for us that, yeah, if we're not there, we're definitely missing out on something significant.
All right. Jennifer, same question from a manufacturer standpoint, but also Jennifer is also very much involved in next level learning. So from you guys' standpoint, what do you guys need? What do you want out of a trade show?
So from the manufacturer standpoint, I also think we need to look at, and it also coincides with what we do at Next Level Learning, is the education portion of what is happening in the industry. How is the industry bridging the AV and the IT together? Making sure that those classes are being offered to the young professionals that are coming in. I spent some time and met 3 people within the 30-year-old age range just last week, where they were 2 months into the industry, 4 months into the industry, 6 months into the industry. All of them had a carpentry type background, which I found was very interesting. And so 2 of them worked for large companies. Great. They had a training path. One of them, a smaller local company, he was struggling drinking from the fire hose. So from the manufacturer, we want to be able to give the training to people. We don't want to just say, hey, here's our product. This is how it works. This is what it does. We want to bridge that gap of this is how our product is. This is how it works with this company. This is how you can implement it. But then where's the basic training for people that are doing installation, people that are doing programming, people that are doing the designing? Because who's really walking the show floor, whether it's ISE or whether it's Infocom, It's the salespeople. It's the managers. You don't get the project managers. Companies aren't sending their project managers. Companies aren't sending their installers because they can't do that because their jobs aren't going. So, when you look at what ISE is doing with Spark and being able to bridge it, I think it's amazing. And we need more end users. So more people from the courts and banking and corporate America attending, because they're the ones that know their stuff that's going in their buildings, and they need to be able to help make their own decisions. But from a next level learning standpoint, we want more education. We want more hands-on. We want more youth, meaning how long have you been in the industry? Stop sending the senior salespeople that everybody knows. Let's send the younger people there, because that's what we need. Let's send the people that have only been in the industry for less than 3 years. Get them there. Companies need to invest that way.
Let me ask you both a question, because you bring up a good point there, Jennifer, and that is, this is a broad statement, right? But primarily, if an integration firm is going, they are not sending project managers, they are not sending engineers, and they are not sending install techs. There's a reason for this. And those are the folks that actually make the projects work and make the company money, right? They'll send salespeople because salespeople, not that salespeople don't make money because they make the sales. I'm going to get yelled at for this one, which is fine. But they also, they're the kind of they're the front line. They're the ones who need to know about the latest, greatest technology. But so do the project managers, so do the engineers, and so do the install techs. How do you guys get to those folks? Because you're right, they're not going to Infocom. So is Megan? Is it Megan spending? There's 365 days a year, right? Megan spending 45, 50 weeks a year, instructing, right, all of the integration, techs from around the country. Is that what we're doing?
Well, yeah, it depends. Every company has a different strategy, but we have a sales engineer that goes and trains people. We also have regional reps that go out and train. We'll have, things that are dedicated for, project managers, sales engineers, things like that. But it's still hard to reach them because they're still out in the field. So it needs to be that remote level learning that they can probably do at their own pace. That's the only way to get it done.
But you guys are doing it. It's you guys reaching out to them, right? It's not, there's not, and I just, this week I got to hang out with the folks at Almo. Almo E4. E4 it's been a great event. I think it's like 15, 16 years now, right? There's a longer conversation here about the physical size of the United States and how it's really difficult to do stuff like this. But I believe they do 4 events a year, right? Even those 4 events, you're not going to touch everybody in the States, right? Again, biggest, really big, stupid country. So yeah, it sounds like it is up to manufacturers and reps and rep firms that cover larger manufacturers.
But companies don't want to pull their installers out of the field for even a day. And like you said, they're the ones that are out there making the job work, making it. And so they seem to get the least amount of training. And then when something's going wrong and the salesperson that sold the job is getting screamed at by their customer, who really is ultimately to blame is the lack of training for the installers and the programmers and the designers. It's not the salesperson that knows how to make all of this stuff work, because they're not the ones installing it. So this is where we go back to, we need something for these installers. Like, take the time, give them the training. We've got to get them up and running to make sure everything's going smooth.
There are certain mechanisms in place. There are integrators out there that see value in the CTS, right? And you do have to have CTS RUs 30 every 3 years. So certainly there are some folks that they do take their installers out of the field occasionally, right, to get those RUs. I don't have a great answer. I just do. I agree with Megan and Jennifer both. It is an issue, especially as the speed of the technology is increasing. The evolution of the technology, that speed is certainly moving very fast. Yeah, don't have a great answer. I don't know. Maybe somebody smart will come up with one. All right. That's all I got. Jennifer Weaver, thank you, ma'am. How do people connect with you, with Laya, with Next Level Learning, your kids, Cub Scout troop, whatever you want?
Yeah. So best thing is I'm on LinkedIn, Jennifer Weaver on LinkedIn. You can message me there if you are looking for a job or you need to talk about finding yourself a job or you're hiring, reach out. I'll have you on my podcast. I'm also part of AVNation.
Yep.
So I'm AV Career Masterminds.
Yeah, awesome. Megan, very nice to have you. Thank you so much. I hope I didn't scare you off too much, but thank you. And how do people connect with you or Peerless AV?
So Peerless AV, we are able to connect via LinkedIn or our website. We do have a live chat feature. So if you're ever looking for general product knowledge, our customer care team is available, I think, until 8 p.m. Central. So pretty decent hours. And I'm available to connect via LinkedIn or my Peerless email, which is on peerless-av.com.
All right, very good. Thank you both so much. My name is Tim Albright. Do not follow me anywhere. I shouldn't say that. If you're interested in things that I write about that have nothing to do with technology, you can follow me on LinkedIn. That is where you can find Tim pontificating on the lack of need for more government regulation and things of that nature. But go to the website, if you would, please, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. You'll find this program, Jennifer's fantastic program, and a host of others. We do have a brand new AVNation special looking at the culture of collaboration with our friends over at Crestron, so you can check that out. If I've quite frankly been around the world the last month or so. If you missed me at IBC or CFX, or you missed me at Almo E4, you can pick me up and check out, or just hang out and come up and say hi. The very first AV user group meeting in Chicago happens October 22nd. I will be in Chicago for that. Or if you are in Kansas City or St. Louis this week that this is posting, we are hanging out at the AVL Rep Expo. But go by the website, avnation.tv. It's avnation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. That is all the time we have for AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
Hello, this is Steve Greenblatt, host of AVNation's State of Control podcast. Each month, Rich Fregosa and I explore trending topics related to control programming and automation in the audiovisual industry. We speak with a variety of AV professionals who share their perspectives, knowledge, and experiences. Please join us for this monthly conversation. Check out A State of Control on avnation.tv or wherever you get your podcasts.